No, it's okay.
Say the word.
When. This is about my favorite artist. You may not know this about me. I actually have made art. I would never call myself an artist because I think you have to do it very seriously in order to call yourself an artist. But I know how to make art, and I've always been interested in art. I've collected art all my life. I first started collecting this artist 30 years ago. And at the time, she was working on this series that had to do, they were sort of narrative in nature, like the painting on the left is called Blue Boy, Blue Girl, and it's reminiscent of a time when she lived in India, and of course she was the little white girl looking over the fence at the boy of color, and they were not allowed to play together, so they were both blue. This is a series called I Love Emile Nolde, and it's really just influenced by Emile's style. These were typically pastels on paper with pumice. And this was the series that she was working on right before we met, which I have no idea what it's called, but there was a lot of dogs and a lot of kids and a lot of beaches and a lot of rocks, and they were very pretty, and they were very popular. Next slide's coming right up. I'm not going to talk. I've collected all this work. This work she was doing right about the time we met. In fact, the one on the right was referenced me in the title, and that was a real honor. By this time, I had probably collected about 14 of her works, and again, I've been doing this for the past 30 years. This is in the same vein. I liked it because there was a pterodactyl in it. I'm not sure what that was for, but I also like the sort of figures standing around, and I always thought that was interesting. I recently had a chance to talk to the artist, and she indicated that she has 26 different bodies of work in the past 30 years, which is sort of interesting. Very prolific, does 30 or 40 paintings in each body of work. This particular series, the one on the left is like Demons and Believers or Finding Their Heart or something like that. The one on the right was an homage to sort of thinking about the future. Then she was in grad school and doing art on demand. She was just doing a lot of like big colorful pieces, one right after the other. And then shortly after that moved into, this was a work on paper, then she started moving into big oil paintings, and I mean big. Some of them were like 11 feet long, gigantic pieces. This one's called Quake. Obviously she's gone from figurative to sort of abstract or non-objective, mostly abstract, I guess, since it's slightly, you can read it. And another large painting around this time is right around the corner. That one, I don't know the name of it because there's been so many. By this time, I probably had collected maybe 150 of her works. This was in the very late 80s, early 90s. She went back to school in New York about this time, and that was a very difficult time, and she made very difficult paintings, very angry and strange, bizarre shapes. That's a shape canvas on the right. It's actually a piece of wood. I had to crop the shape out just to fit it on the slide. And then things got happier for her, and she started to do these large paintings. Some of these are very big. Some of them are surprisingly small, like maybe 12 by 12. This was a very mature body of work, and it had these ideas of people coming in and out of families. That's what the shapes stood for, because, you know, every family is different. When a person enters the family and when a person leaves the family, it's a different family. That's why when people say, I can't believe they're from the same family, well, there's really no such thing as the same family because it changes constantly. And then there was the famous Grid series. She did this in the late 90s, early 2000s. Her dealer at the time called it challenging. I thought it was sort of challenging myself. However, my name showed up in that painting title, so I liked that particular one. This was the 9/11 series. That was an exploration, unfortunately, after the tragedy in New York of September 11th. And that was, of course, in 2011, maybe 2012, that these were painted. And then she moved into some very glorious, this is actually a very small painting, probably maybe 30 inches long. It's very horizontal, but a lot going on in the painting. And again, by this time I probably had 250 pieces of her work. And I've sold a lot too, as she has too. This is a painting that is called Dedication. It's actually was in the lobby of Ally Financial. I think Ally Financial used to be General Electric Credit or something like that, down in Charlotte, North Carolina. So she's in some corporate collections. The one on the left is in the Ritz-Carlton in Charlotte, and that's called Death of a Star. That's a pretty big painting. It's probably as big as the slide is on the wall here. And the one on the right was done at about the same time. That series is part of what's called Perpetua Perplexita, because she's always perplexed and perpetually perplexed. And this is a painting called Indicator. It's now at a collector's home in California. And it is also a very large painting. And this is a continuation of that series. That brings us up to maybe 2009, 2010. So this is one of her most recent paintings. This is called Mindful. You can see the big crazy Buddha in the corner. And then finally, this is a work that she's doing now, which is called Influencers, where she's doing an homage to art history, where she's painting a painting like Leonardo with the girl with the ermine, and then on top of a Paul Klee. So they're really beautiful. They're only about this big, and they're really different. So anyway, that's that. And it's my wife, Peggy Rivers, right over there, who never talks about her work, so I thought I'll just talk about her work. And she is my favorite painter.